Hocking Hills is an amazing free state park located in Logan, Ohio. It is full with beautiful trails and waterfalls. And the best part are most of the trails are dog friendly. My wife and I took a weekend trip to Hocking Hills back in early May of 2021, and in this video we are going to share our experience to help others better plan for their trip. A few tips before heading to Hocking Hills. 1. I highly recommend following Hocking Hills on Facebook and downloading their app for the most up-to-date information. 2. As of right now, there is absolutely no wading or swimming in any of the water. I've seen reviews of people doing this in the past, but as of right now, that's a no-go. 3. Stay on all the trails while visiting. Hocking Hills does a very good job on marking what is and what is not open in order to keep the corrosion down so that we can continue to preserve the state park for the future. And 4. Don't forget to pack your drone. As of filming this video, Hocking Hills does allow drones. Just remember to be safe and responsible, and you can get some amazing photos and videos of some of the most gorgeous waterfalls. And 5. Be prepared to hike. A lot of the terrain is narrow and difficult. Make sure you're physically able and bring comfortable waterproof shoes as well as water and snacks. We decided to drive down on a Friday night after work, so we ended up at the campground at about 1 in the morning. The front desk was already closed, but we had contacted them prior to let them know that we were coming late and we were able to set up our tent, although it was difficult to figure out where to go in the middle of the night. We stayed at Big Sycamore Family Campground, and overall it was an okay place to stay. The bathrooms were acceptable, they had hot showers, and it's a fairly close drive to the state park. The only problem we had was we never actually met anyone who worked there. We left early and came back late, and every time we came, the front desk was already closed. As for weather in the beginning of May, you're going to want to wear some extra layers. During the day it can be okay, but at night it was really chilly, especially because we were staying in a tent. On the first day we headed out, we found a really great local coffee shop on the way. Highly recommend stopping here to get your morning coffee, or if you're not into coffee like me, grabbing a hot chocolate. It was very good, and we stopped here every morning afterwards. Our first stop was Old Man's Cave, which is the most popular of all the trails at Hocking Hills. And this is mostly because it has the most landmarks of all the trails. Be ready to hike though, because round trip is over 1 mile, and if you're trying to avoid the crowds, I recommend either coming on a weekday, or if you do go on a weekend, get there early, like 7-8 a.m., or get there late, just a few hours before sunset. In midday, it was extremely busy and basically a line to get to see anything. Before you go down the trails, there is a welcome center where you can get some more information about the trails from employees. And also, as far as I know, it's the only true bathrooms that you'll find in Hocking Hills. Now, there are 2 access points to start your trail for Old Man's Cave. One is near the Welcome Center, but I recommend going to the far entrance or else you'll miss the upper waterfalls. We started on that far entrance, and you get to go over a bridge as well as see the upper falls, which is one of the most popular waterfalls, and you'll see photos of this waterfall online everywhere. It's extremely gorgeous, and like I said, in the past this is one place where people used to swim, but they no longer allow that, so do not get in the water. Heading down that trail, you'll see some unique trees growing on the cliffs, and you'll come across Devil's Bathtub. It's very cool to just sit here and just watch the water go by. Once you're done here and you start heading down the trail, you'll come across your first narrow stairway. Now, for those of you with dogs, we saw a lot of people having issues with getting their dog down those steps. So be ready to carry your dog or potentially go in front of them to try to get them to follow you. The next big attraction is the A-frame bridge. You will see some other small waterfalls on your way to the bridge, but they are not as big as the upper falls. Now, before you reach the A-frame bridge, there is a path to your right that will take you back up to the Welcome Center. However, this is intended as an entrance and is very narrow, so only use this as an emergency to get back to the parking lot. Now, the A-frame bridge constantly had people going on it. We waited a long time to try to get some photos and videos with no one else on the bridge. We ended up coming back to this bridge later in the day, and we got a lot more photos without people being there. After the A-frame bridge, you will come through some tunnels, which are absolutely amazing, and once you finish the bottom of the tunnel, if you take a right, you'll get a good shot of a waterfall without a lot of people in the way. Also, at this tunnel, if you look to your right, you'll get to see Old Man's Cave. And the video just doesn't do justice on how large this cave is. It is absolutely amazing. From here, you have two options. You can either walk across the bridge and go into Old Man's Cave, or you can continue down your path on the left and you'll eventually come to the Sphinx Head. After some more hiking, you'll come down to the lower falls, which is much larger than the upper falls and just as gorgeous. This is another great opportunity to get some amazing photos, and I flew my drone here to get some footage. You will see a lot of people get in the water here. Again, please stay out of the water. We are trying to preserve these waterfalls and they're asking for the time being to stay out of it. Once you're done with the lower falls, there are a few different trails you can take. Most obvious one will be going up the stairs towards Old Man's Cave. You'll see a fork in the road, and if you go to the right, it'll take you to the parking lot. However, if you go to the left, you'll come to Broken Rock Falls after a little bit of hiking. This waterfall is nice because we didn't see as many people there, and there was a path for you to walk up and touch the water, and it even had a staircase, so I think at some point, or at least in the past, they allowed people to come and hang out in the water here. Now, after seeing Broken Rock Falls, I recommend going back to the parking lot. You can continue to hike to go see other waterfalls and trails, but all the waterfalls and trails that you will want to see all have a parking lot nearby. So instead of hiking for miles and hours, I recommend just going back to your vehicle and driving to what you want to see. Unless you're up for a lot of hiking, that's just the easier way to do it. When we headed back up, we stopped at the Welcome Center and we talked to one of the employees who told us we had enough daylight to check out Cedar Falls and Ash Cave if we hurried. So we headed over to Cedar Falls next, and it is much larger than either of the waterfalls at Old Man's Cave, and it was definitely my favorite waterfall the entire trip. We spent some time here just enjoying the waterfall, and once again, I had to fly my drone here. It was just so beautiful. On our way out, we saw a small parking lot as well that led to a really cool bridge, and that trail leads to the top of Cedar Falls. However, you cannot get close to the edge to see Cedar Falls from above, so just keep that in mind if you want to go down that trail. We had just enough daylight to head over to Ash Cave, and it is massive. I did not realize how big Ash Cave was, and it's simply gorgeous. It was really cool to see some of the pigeons living in the cave, and I really wanted to fly my drone here as well. However, it was starting to get dark. I didn't want to risk my drone in low light and low GPS signal, but I am definitely going to return here to fly my drone in the future, and hopefully by then I will also be able to do FPV. I think doing a dive here would be so amazing. We decided to stay here until it got dark because it's a very short walk back to your car. After Ash Cave, we decided to make a quick stop at a local bar to get some food. Not much was open, and the food was okay. We then stopped at Walmart to grab some extra blankets and supplies because we were very cold the first night. The next morning, we got up early and headed to Cantwell Cliffs, and this was definitely our favorite location of the trip. But fair warning, the bathrooms here are outhouses and not bathrooms, so just be prepared for that. Now, a really great thing about Cantwell Cliffs is there are basically no crowds compared to Old Man's Cave. With just a little bit of patience, you can get some amazing photos and videos here and make it look like nobody else was on the trail. There are two different paths you can take. We actually did both of them, but the Gorge Trail was definitely our favorite. The cliffs are absolutely amazing to look at, and if you're lucky and there was some rainfall recently, you'll even be able to see some waterfalls. After hiking Cantwell Cliffs, we decided to head over to Rock House, which is the only true cave that you'll see in the park. The cave stands at 25 feet tall and 200 feet long. It is absolutely massive, and you can even feel the temperature difference when you walk in. It is very cold, so bring a hoodie. A little tip, the entrance to the cave is a little difficult to find. There is a small opening at the end of the cave, which if you're small and athletic enough, you can enter here, but it's far easier to enter from the side of the cave that has a stairway. After the rock bridge, we decided to hit the rest of the trail before heading back. The lower part of the trail is pretty gorgeous, but once you climb to the top, there's not a whole lot to see, but it is cool knowing that you're standing right above the cave. Now this ended our trip at Hocking Hills. We stayed the night to drive home the next morning, and for those who are driving close to Columbus, I highly recommend stopping at Bud Dairy Food Hall. It was an amazing place to eat. You get to choose your table and there's a variety of themes, and a waitress will come by and grab your drinks, but in order to order your food, you actually order online and you get to choose from their 10 different kitchens. There's plenty of options so everyone can get what they'd like. Once your food is ready, they will send you a text so you can go pick it up and bring it back to your table. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. And if you enjoyed this style of video, please give it a like and subscribe. We have more travel videos coming in the future. The next video we'll be making is about our trip from New York.